Hey, Sooner football fans. This is your Sooner Football Fans podcast, and you got Terry and Rob here. Boomer Rob.
Boomer Terry.
How are we doing, Rob?
Man, it's fantastic.
Fantastic.
Game week.
Game week? I think it's a game week every week till December 2nd, right?
Yeah, well, game week means a little something different to me. It just means a lot of work.
Yeah, I forgot. Sorry about that. Mm-hmm. But you only have 1 week in a row, and then we're back on the road. So,
well, and then we got back to back.
Yeah.
So,
but I got to thinking. First off, let's do a little bit of self-promoting here instead of doing it at the end. Let's do it at the first. If you're listening to us on YouTube, go down and subscribe to it, and you can listen to us all the time. And like we said yesterday's podcast, we are looking at doing some videos, probably starting this Thursday. We're going to try it out, see how it works, start dropping some videos on YouTube. But if you're an iTunes, subscribe to us, comment. It helps us out, gets the name out there, as well as Google Play, Spotify.
We're inventing new stuff here.
Stuff. We have our own. Spotify, subscribe to us, follow us. SoundCloud, do the same. Tell your friends about us. We love doing it. We got some neat stuff that we're working out of. But I was also thinking, Rob, a lot of people, like Big Jim and Jay Wyatt, the Brainiacs, and a lot of those people, Tattoo, and a lot of them know us real well. But we've got a whole bunch of new followers.
Yeah.
On Twitter, and we've got a whole lot of new. Do we call podcast people listeners or downloaders?
Well, they haven't seen us yet, so just wait.
I thought maybe we'd just take a few minutes and just kind of talk about ourselves, give our backgrounds. What do you think? Do you want to? Can you self-promote yourself, or?
I'm not sure it's a good idea, but I'll roll with it.
Well, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and I just thought maybe so people get to know us a little bit. We're not professionals; we're professional fans, right?
Right.
And
I'm still kind of working details out on that.
But basically, so you guys know, Rob and I have been friends for 15 years now?
Long time.
Met each other when his middle boy and my youngest boy were playing football. And Rob was a head coach, and he let me be an assistant coach. And that's when we coached our two boys and a whole bunch of other really good kids, but, Sterling Shepard too. We just always like to throw that out there.
Taught him everything he knows.
Yeah. So, like a lot of Sooner fans out there, we sit around even during the summertime and talk about OU football. And
I know there are people out there just like us.
Just like us. And after the Big 12 championship game, we were watching some stuff, and we just started talking about doing something like this. And did a little bit of research, spent a little bit of money, and started recording ourselves talking about OU football. So if you're listening to us to get inside scoop, you're listening to the wrong two guys.
That's probably not us. We're just mostly opinions.
Yeah. And I think our opinions, we've said it before, our opinions are ours. And we're not saying that ours are right, but they're our opinions.
Just my opinion.
Right. And same way with, people out there on Twitter and the people that listen to us. They're your opinions, and we respect those opinions. We may not agree with them, but we're still fans, and you guys are still fans. And that's what it's all about. We can have a discussion and then move on.
And then we can make fun of you in private.
Yeah. So one of our formats is, and it's been really difficult to do during the season. We were hoping to work it out, but during the off season, we have fans come on, and we just sit around with other fans and talk about OU football. And we're working on getting some more players on here, but it's basically fans talking, sharing stories during the, during the off season for 42 weeks or whatever, or 38 weeks. We'll just sit around and talk about football. Favorite games.
When it's not football season, it's in the off season of football season.
So there's still stuff to talk about. And
you know what? I enjoy hearing how people become OU fans.
Yeah.
So,
and if you're just now listening to it, go back and listen back in March and April, because we were really bad then. Okay, not that we're
much better. I beat you to it.
But that, and just go listen to the Sooner fans talk, and just the love and the appreciation they have for this football team, and the memories, family memories, friend memories, and that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all love our Sooners. So we're glad that we just get to sit around and that people listen to us, and you know, we make people laugh, we make people disagree. You know, we've had some posts that called us idiots and everything else, and it's like, cool, that's great. You know,
Mm-hmm.
One guy was like, "Do you guys ever sit around and listen to yourselves talk?" Every day, I sit around and listen to myself talk.
Yeah, I can hear you right now.
Yeah, so, but it doesn't bother us. You know, because everybody has their opinions on what they want, you know, going on. So, but, you know, without getting into personal stuff with each other, that's just basically this whole show. That's what we're about.
Yeah. And if you're one of those guys that, you know, thinks that you're smarter and you have to tell everybody, then you're probably not.
Right.
Unless your name's James Hale or something like that.
Exactly. Unless you have credentials and everything to back it up. And even then, credentials ain't always the best things.
We've seen that lately, haven't we?
Yeah, we've seen that a little bit. But, you know, we're just really big fans, just like everybody else is out there. And we just started recording ourselves and throwing it out there on the old internet, on podcasts, and people seem to like it. And so we're going to keep doing it. And
mostly because we're having fun.
Yeah, because, you know, what else are we going to do?
Yeah.
So
we have no life.
Yeah. But anyway, Oklahoma is lining up to play the Kansas State University Wildcats.
The Fighting Bill Snyders?
The Fighting Bill Snyders. Now, let's talk about Bill Snyder first off.
Okay.
That guy's going to coach until the day he dies.
Well, yeah.
I think.
Which got to be any minute. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that, y'all.
I think you're right.
I'm sorry. That's just wrong.
But even when he does, I mean, we said it one time before, they're going to just taxidermy that dude and stand him on the sidelines.
It's going to be like Bill and Ted's Vacation or whatever, Bill and Ted's Adventure or something like that.
No, Vacation at Bernie's.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. They're just he's gonna be flopping around.
They're gonna go prop him up on a two-wheeler.
Oh man,
out there, strap him up to it.
That may be what's going on now.
Because K-State fans are scared to death for that guy to leave.
Well, yeah.
You know, he left and they went.
Well, and they thought Ron Prince was the answer.
Yeah.
Negative.
Yeah, and he brought him back. You know, I mean, Snyder's brought him back to not prominence, but respectability.
Well, they've been respectable ever since he's been there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they were just terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, they were bad. And then Bill Snyder coming there, and they're still not getting any talent.
No.
Down there, but he just coaches them up in such a way they're tough. They don't make mistakes.
Right.
You know, you got to play your football game to beat them.
Right.
Now you should beat them, no doubt about it. But if you mess around and have turnovers, they'll sneak up and get you.
They'll sneak up and bite you on the booty. But
just ask Oklahoma State.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, we've got them coming in, and we're going to get into talking a little bit about the matchup and what we think needs to happen. But we kind of thought tonight would just, you know, I got to think, well, what are all of our stats looking at? Because you see on Twitter all these ESPN polls and all this other stuff, you know, or the best, you know, the number one graded players, and I saw one. It was Alabama, and our buddy the quarterback Tugboat.
Yeah.
Moglo.
Whatever.
He graded at 77% this last game.
Yeah.
Through
three quarters.
Through three quarters, but it's like, good Lord, man, they must. They don't grade on a curve at Alabama.
Well, Nick Saban's got to have something to.
Yeah.
You know.
But and you know, we talked about it yesterday. I mean, the Heisman race is really a 3-man or 2-man race.
I agree.
You know, without a doubt. And really, you know, this is an unpopular opinion, but I really think it's a 1-man race.
You think it's Tua's, or do you think
it's Tua's?
Yeah.
Because the guy still has not played in a fourth quarter.
I know.
And he's putting up, you know, better comparables. And that's what people keep putting out. is, how close they are together and da-da-da. And I'm like, I don't want to be negative and go and type in there, yeah, but he hasn't stepped foot on a football field in the fourth quarter.
Well, they haven't played anybody close enough that he's got to be.
Right.
So maybe, LSU can change that.
Right.
But I wouldn't guarantee.
And maybe playing a defense like LSU, it'll show some flaws.
Oh, yeah. Oh, here's Nick Saban after the game. Well, those dadgum cheerleaders just didn't cheer loud enough. I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to have to go and work on that. I mean, at some point he's going to have to start making up stuff.
Right. Because, and he even said, will you guys, he was like, will you guys write something bad about these guys, so I can tell them you're right. If you're not, it's just.
So he can't find anything.
Right.
And he wants them to find something.
Find something so I can go,
oh, man.
Look, Bob at the newspaper sees what you're doing wrong. So,
yeah.
But anyway, that's not taking anything away from Kyler. Kyler is amazing. And I think by far he is probably the best athlete in college football and maybe the best athlete to play. We talk about Baker being the best quarterback to ever play the game. Kyler may be the best athlete to ever play the game.
Maybe. And
He'd
probably win it any other year.
Right.
But I don't know this one unless somebody goes in there and just shuts Tua down and makes him look bad. It's Tua's to lose.
Right. I mean, he's 115 out of 159. That's 72% completion rate for 1,977 yards, 25 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 224.9. That's not bad.
Not bad at all.
And then you add in his rushing yards. He's had 66 carries for 428 yards at 6.5 yards per carry. The longest is 67-yard touchdown run, and he's had 5 rushing touchdowns. So, a well-rounded quarterback.
Yeah.
And something that we haven't seen in Oklahoma really in a long time. This much of an athlete behind the center.
Yeah, I think the difference between him and Baker is Baker just had the will to win. I mean, Baker was just not going to lose.
Until he went to the Browns.
Yeah. Well,
no, I'm sorry, guys. I had to say.
Kyler is, real similar, but he just got the athleticism of a cheetah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's crazy.
Ridiculous.
So everybody knows about that, but I want to talk about Kennedy Brooks. The guy that looks like he's jogging on the field. And that may be something we need to figure out a question for Coach tomorrow night on the coach's show is, does he run a 6.5 40? Because it looks like it out on the field.
Anything you can do to speed Kennedy Brooks up out there? I mean, he only ran for 165 yards last game. I mean, good grief.
And he's still averaging 11 yards a carry, 10.9 yards per carry.
Wow.
With 33 carries, man, that is phenomenal.
So I don't know what it is about the way he runs that makes him look slow, but obviously that's not the case.
Right.
Because slow people do not run for 11 yards every time they touch the ball. I mean, it just doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen.
So
it's crazy. I mean, it just, and we, Anderson, he had 11 carries and, we were all in awe of him, going into the second game that, he was averaging 11 yards a carry. And, Brooks has done that consistently the whole season. Even with, he didn't play in 3 games, but he's going to play in the rest of them.
Or is he going to just play in 4 and then get redshirted?
I don't know.
Or has he already been redshirted?
I think he's already been redshirted.
Okay,
I think it's a redshirt freshman.
You can't do it twice.
But Sermon, he's doing the same thing he did last year. 81 carries for 458 yards, 5.7 yards per carry.
Yeah, it's hard to bench a guy that's running like that.
Right.
But if the backup is running at 11 yards per clip, what do you do?
And see, and I want to see the stat because I think it was Sermon and Anderson were averaging like 2 yards per carry or 2 yards or 3 yards after contact, after first contact. So they were getting hit and going forward. That's what I want to see about Sermon, because Sermon, I mean, dump trucked an old boy getting into the end zone the other day.
He's a beast. I don't know what it is between the two, but it just looks like when Sermon gets the ball, like he is just fighting. I mean, there's people, and he's running into dragging people. Kennedy doesn't get touched until he's 10 yards down the field.
Right.
So I don't know.
But
Sermon looks faster, but I don't think that's the case.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously, Lincoln, the way he's mixing them up is right. I know a lot of fans, including myself, have been, man, why don't we start him and then bring Sermon in after they've been wore down? But I really think Sermon wears them down, and then they kind of change the style of running back, and Brooks is out there running for 11 yards a clip.
I don't know how fair that is to Trey Sermon, but
and then they bring him back in. I mean, they've been bringing Sermon back in to close it out. So I don't know. I know we've talked about Anderson, and it's a completely different team, but I mean, I really don't know how it would be any much of a better team.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got 1,500 yards, almost 1,600 yards rushing, averaging 6.5 yards a carry.
Have you noticed that you haven't seen TJ Pleasure in a couple games now?
Yep. Yeah, and haven't seen Sutton either. So, I believe these are the two new workhorses.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's just amazing what Lincoln is able to do with running backs, and has for the last, he's been here, this is his fourth year. 1, 2, 3, fourth year, and has ever since he's been here. And then, you throw in, the receivers, Marquise and CD. I mean, they're catching 30 plus. They've caught 30 plus, Lamb 30, Brown 38, averaging 18 yards a catch between them.
Well, just think about next year. I mean, next year the wide receivers are coming in, and a tight end, Stockner. I mean,
yeah.
So we're gonna be loaded up.
And then Lee Morris has got 8 touchdowns,
8 catches.
No, 12 catches and 8 touchdowns.
Oh,
still ridiculous.
How about 12 touchdowns and 8 catches?
that would be better.
Yeah.
But our total offense is ridiculous. 3,684 yards so far on the season. So
does Kansas State test us? Then what are they going to try and do?
They don't test us off defensively. They're not gonna stop that.
Put up any kind of a battle.
How? I mean,
yeah. Well, I don't see it either. I'm asking. Are they? They were able to shut down Oklahoma State. Of course, you can't compare.
Good grief.
Yeah, you can't compare them to us. But
I mean, maybe if they show up out there with a shotgun.
Well, you can't count out old Bill Snyder. He knows how to do business down there.
Well, last year the game was way too close, and I wanted to talk about last year's game because it was 42-35. They had 268 yards rushing, and I'm pretty sure that was all the quarterback. And
I think it was.
And it was basically that little, power dive right off the guard every play. And if you noticed how, Texas quarterback, Erlander, where he scored his touchdowns, it was basically the same place. Okay.
Well, that's not good.
So Texas pulled a little bit out of the Kansas State playbook, but they did that all day long last year.
Oh, yeah. Every play.
Every play. I mean, you and I were sitting in there just screaming at the TV. It's like, oh, my God. All they're doing is running right at you. So somebody step in a hole.
A little bit Army-esque,
Yeah.
So
they only had 144 yards passing. They only had 19 first downs. Because they just marched down the field and score, but it was 42-35. And we had to pull that one out at the I think that was a The next to the last drive that we got 42.
Wow.
This is one of the games I was talking about last year that we could have lost and ended up being a 4 or 5 loss team. 2016.
We shouldn't have, because we had 600 total yards against them.
619 yards, and our defense gave up 412. And then the year before last was a little bit better. We won 38-17. But, I mean, let's just face it. Kansas State is not that good this year. They're 3-4 right now.
Yeah, I don't think they're as good this year as they were last year or even the year before that.
No.
Sure, so.
I mean, they beat South Dakota. They got drummed by Mississippi State. They beat UT San Antonio.
Woohoo!
The Roadrunners. And got drubbed by West Virginia. Hung in on Texas. Hung in with Baylor. And just beat the snot out of Okie Stank.
Skull drug them.
Skull drug them. But they're 3-4, 1-3 in the Big 12. They're averaging 191 yards rushing, 165 yards in the air, and 356 yards total offense, and scoring 23 points a game.
Well, if they score 23 points on us, we're going to beat them.
We're going to smoke them.
We're going to double them up, probably.
Right. When I'm concerned, again, we got to throw the defense in here. Some people have, put their packets of Kool-Aid back in there and, in the pitcher and stirred it up and put it back in the fridge, wanting to drink the Kool-Aid from one game. But what do you think, Rob? I mean, what do we got to do defensively?
Well, I think for starters, we gotta run a 4-man front. But that's just my personal preference. Yeah. And those linebackers have just got to fit up in those holes. If we shut them down at the line of scrimmage, then we got to put them in a passing situation. And if we do that, I mean, we're gonna right. It's gonna get ugly for them. But saying that and doing that are two different things.
Exactly.
So, they're going to scheme well. They're going to block those inside runs well. They're going to try and drop back at the most inopportune time and try and hit that crossing route, which keeps your linebackers back.
Right.
Keeps them out of the holes. Because if you get caught one time, then now you're streaking. Now the wide receiver's streaking across the middle. So. They can do some things to expose the defense if it will be exposed. But honestly, I think the defense is they're understanding where they're supposed to be a lot better now, mm-hmm. or it seems like they are. I mean, maybe that's just my hope. But if we get the scheme down right and everybody plays their spot, then Kansas State they're not going to be able to move the ball very well on us.
Well, they shouldn't be able to stay in the whole game with it. We need a 2015 effort out of this team.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
55 to nothing.
55 to nothing. I mean, I don't know how realistic that is. The defense is still, trying to find their foothold or whatever to find out who they are,
right?
To some extent. But I think the talent is there, and I think late in the game, hopefully we'll. I mean, we got more athletes than they do.
Yeah.
So at some point, we got to start wearing them down. As long as we don't let them stay in the game, then, really. Yeah.
Well, and I'm saying that, whether it's, 42-23, 55-23, or 55-0 is we've got to – this team is now – every game has to make a defensive statement to the playoff committee.
Yeah.
I mean,
open some eyeballs.
They need to go half of the season, just like what they have with Oklahoma the last really 3 years. They had issues. They corrected them at a loss. Hint, hint, Lincoln, maybe we should correct those problems before we lose. But, correct them, but they need to be major because I think our defense has really put us behind it. Our loss has put us behind the 8 ball, but that 8 ball is the size of a beach ball because of our defense. Because that's what, I mean, Herb Street, everybody on Game day, all said the same thing. Championship offense, below average defense. La da 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 da. The Fox guys said everything else. Our good buddy, we call him our good buddy because if you are listening, Joel Clapp, you need to come on and talk to us about this. But Joel Clapp took a sip of the Oklahoma defense Kool-Aid. Okay, the next week he put his pitcher back up. Okay, I think it was I don't think it was the Army game. It may have been I can't remember which one it was, but he was like us. They did, and I still think even with Mike here, they were more aggressive, don't you? I mean, they looked like they were in,
Oh yeah,
they were.
You mean compared to last year?
Compared to last year,
yeah.
But they still had the same issues with getting people on the ground. Granted, when they did finally get them around on the ground, there were 9 guys standing around, but that's because the other 8 had missed him. But we have to have convincing wins, in my opinion, to continue to move up. Because we do want that 5-6 matchup or 4-5 matchup with Texas in the Big 12 championship.
Sure we do.
game.
Yeah, well, what you're saying, I think, is at the end of the year we need to be the prettiest one-loss team left,
right.
Standing, and that may not necessarily be the case if Ohio State's still standing there and Notre Dame has
right.
one, so and you can't take out of the equation either Georgia or LSU,
right.
So at the end of the year we got to be the prettiest one-loss team standing there, and we're only going to get that if we play outstanding defense from here going forward.
I mean, we have to, or it's going to be Sugar Bowl, which, it's not the playoffs. It's not a bad deal for fans. Hey, New Year's Eve on Bourbon Street, come on. I mean, but that's where we'll end up if we don't start having some dominating wins. Offensively, we're going to dominate every defense that we play. And I'm even throwing out Alabama. I'm throwing out everybody.
That's a bold statement, Cotton.
Thank you. But Herb Street said it on game day this past Saturday. Was we wanted to we talked about Lincoln's offense, and then we wanted to see him against an SEC defense. Well, look what he did. You threw Georgia up there, and we smoked Georgia's defense.
Yeah.
Problem is their offense smoked our defense in the third quarter and run everything for us.
Well, in the first 2 quarters they really didn't, but
second
half of that ball game they did.
Yeah, but it's just as much as we want to get there, we have to. This offense is capable of beating anybody. Our defense has got to be capable of stopping some pretty stout teams, moving forward, and we have to. But just to get to that stout team, we gotta thump. They gotta shut Kansas State down this weekend.
Yeah.
If it's 42-35 at the end of this weekend, we're not gonna make it.
Probably not, because they're gonna take a team like Michigan or Notre Dame,
right,
or an Ohio State in front of us.
Unless everybody loses 2 games and we,
I don't see
we move
that,
up there. I think we're going to win out. Okay, but we have to win out convincingly.
Well, some of the statistics out there right now are saying that if we win out, we're in. But I just don't know.
I know, and that's one. I'm not going to pull the stuff up on the web or here or anything, but I have heard more than one person say that out of the top 10 teams, we're the 4th most likely. It's Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Oklahoma. We're sitting at still 77% chance to get in, and they say it's our strength of schedule. Who do we have left? Other than they're planning on West Virginia still being in there. And Texas was ranked when they beat us, and Texas will be ranked above us when we beat them. Maybe that's how it works out.
I don't know.
But I sit and look at our remaining schedule and go, how? We look like Notre Dame's remaining schedule, really. We're playing a Power 5 conference, okay. Yeah, but in that Power 5 is Kansas, which would do, maybe in Division II football would might be 500.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
They played the Bisons. What is it? North Dakota? Yeah, North Dakota State.
North Dakota State.
Yeah, if they play the Bisons. You think the Bisons would dribble them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've won national championships like
Yeah.
a ridiculous amount or something,
Right.
right?
And they got that indoor. They got an indoor football field. You ever watched any of their games?
Nope.
Yeah.
Not one.
They've got a really nice, I want to call it an arena, but it's
They're
a dome.
green and yellow.
I know.
I'm like, no, I can't watch that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But they've got a really nice football facility. I mean, it's an indoor.
Well, that's what happens when you win national
Yeah.
championships.
And also what happens when you, it's either that or play out in negative 30 below, 30 below zero.
I mean, who lives there? Really? Hey, it's negative 20. Let's go live up here. No.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
what is that recruiting trip like,
I don't mind some snow. I really do not. 'Cause, I'm a big guy, so I run hot most of the time. But negative 20? No thanks.
We've seen Fargo, right?
Yeah.
The movie and TV show.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. It's kind of like Boise State. Who would want to go there? But no, their indoor facility. I've watched a couple other games, and it's really nice. It's like a gigantic basketball arena. There's no stands on the ends, but there's big stands on either side, and they fill that sucker up.
I bet they do.
And
That's what happens when you win.
yeah,
So
I bet you they
take
don't
that
tailgate.
note, Oklahoma State fans. When you win, you get fans. You see how that works?
Well, unless you're Oklahoma State, because they can only win at like every once. They win for like 3 years every third solstice.
You got to be consistent. Yeah.
Yeah.
They win 10 games in a leap year or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are they going to win another game?
It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard pressed for them to if they don't. I mean, they're going to have to play a whole bunch better to do that. If they play like they've been playing, they're not winning nothing else.
They're going to beat Texas Saturday.
I don't know. I mean, it would be like Texas to go down there and just lay down for them.
Yeah.
And just kind of ruin our strength of schedule as it is.
Yeah.
But I just don't think Oklahoma State's very good.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think Texas is decent. I think they got a lot of good athletes. So, they may figure some stuff out and be really a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. There's not a chance.
Not Oklahoma State.
No.
Texas.
Yeah. There's no chance Oklahoma State beats them.
Okay.
If they do, it's like you said. I think it's because Texas lays down because Texas doesn't want to play us again. So,
well, isn't Erlen hurt?
Yeah,
Is he back? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think Bouchel's as good a quarterback as he is. So
no, I'm sorry.
He's not.
Anybody named Bouchel, it's too close to Boucher.
Hold up now. His dad was a Sooner.
Still.
And what's wrong with Bobby Boucher?
Nothing's wrong with Bobby Boucher. It's just I don't want my quarterback, sounding like Bobby Boucher.
Uh-huh. Well, his mama said.
His mama said he can play the Longhorn foosball.
Something's wrong with your medulla oblongata.
But anyway, so I don't know who else is playing, but then I just don't know. I don't know what to expect out of this defense moving forward. I don't think anybody does. Everybody's hoping.
Yeah, and that could be a good thing. I mean, the best thing would be to expect them to, shut Kansas State out. I don't know that we can expect that, but certainly we can expect them to play better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's a question I'll throw at you. If Mike Stoops was still there, okay, would this Saturday have been, because there's a lot of talk, this defense is moving forward. You could see the improvement. You could see that, and you could see this. Would the same be being said about Mike Stoops if the same game, the same results, exact same game?
I don't think so. And I'm no expert here, but in prior games they've looked confused. We've called a lot of timeouts. Mm-hmm. This game seemed to just run smoothly.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they just went with it. They may not have known what they were doing. I don't know, but they just went with it, and there wasn't a whole lot of, or it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of confusion or a lot of timeouts. They just played.
And the timeouts, were coming from the wrong personnel getting out on the field. that obviously is a communication on the sidelines issue with the coaches, Mike upstairs and the position coaches. And maybe Mike was making some audibles up there going, no, I don't want X, I want Y. I don't know.
Well, I'd said that I think there's a really good chance that Mike lost the respect of the defense.
Right.
They just weren't playing for him.
Yeah.
And I think.
How do you do that, though?
Well, I don't know. You just, Mike is old school, and old school coaches, as well as I do, will just yell and scream at you.
Yeah.
I had Mike, and I know you had too. Coaches come up and grab my face mask. And if they could have fit their face through my face mask yelling at me, they would have.
Yeah.
So, that type of coaching, and of course, they also, they would drag you around by your face mask if you let them and slap you and whatever else.
Yeah.
That's Mike's mentality, and these kids are not that.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I know that every coach I played for, with the exception of one, I had the utmost respect for, and I got my butt chewed out a lot. Okay. And I would have done, and to hear, other players from OU, past players, Roy Williams, Dvorak, Tommy Harris, Teddy Lehman, all these guys just, say we would have ate glass and ran through fire for this guy.
Right.
And all of their coaches. I don't know how, and I know what you're saying. It's a different, group of kids, but athletes are athletes, and not that or you and I were any outstanding athletes.
What do you mean?
We were good high school athletes. Okay. But the one coach I didn't have respect for was because I saw him lie to our head coach on more than one occasion. One of them was an injury that he caused, okay, by doing what they tell us not to do in the locker rooms and out on, playing grab ass. That's how you get hurt. Well, he was playing grab ass during a drill with one of the players, and he got hurt. And the player got hurt, and the coach came in there, and right in front of all of us, he lied, and that went.
That was it.
That was it. Nobody had really any respect for that guy after that. Own up to it. Hey, I was jacking around. I pushed him on a roll, and he rolled up on his shoulder and neck. But and I didn't like the guy after that. So, my offensive line coach, my defensive line coaches, my head coach, I don't know about you, but I mean, that's how I was with them. And they were in your face, type coaches. And the thing I liked about my high school, they never really cussed. They would a little bit, but they would get in your face, and one of them dipped. And so you got, you
got a little skull mixed in with your
you got a little bit of peppermint coming through
Hang
on you.
Coach, let me go wipe this off.
I just don't. I mean, I can't. I don't understand why somebody who recruited you and sat down with you and you can look at his history and see this guy's going to make me. But I don't know. I mean, I don't understand it.
I agree, but you have seen video of Mike yelling and screaming at people, and there's a difference between yelling at a player, like, get in line, do this, do it, whatever, and yelling at them to the point where your facial intensity is that they hate you. I mean, that's when I see Mike yelling and screaming, that's what I get. That's the way I feel. I'm just like, I don't like that at all.
Yeah, but I mean,
I can't be the only one.
Yeah, but look at Venables.
Absolutely.
Venables is the exact same way.
Coach. Yep.
And, I mean, he's got one of the best has had one of the best defenses around. And so, I don't know. I mean, that's what gets me about it.
Hard to explain, but, I mean.
I agree with you, though.
If that defense is playing better, 2 weeks is not enough for the miracle improvement to happen. So, if that defense is playing better, it's because Mike lost them, or to some extent Mike lost them. And, they're just playing hard for Ruffin for
or
whatever
whoever
reason.
their coach is, whoever their position coach is, and
So,
I get what you're saying, and I agree with it. I mean, there had to be a change because what was happening, what they were doing wasn't working.
mm-hmm.
And whether that was Mike is so intense and maybe the staff he had around him couldn't react to it quick enough, I don't know. I mean, our defense and offense used to be both a finely tuned oiled machine.
Mm-hmm.
And our offense is probably as good as it's ever been at the University of Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And we've always had that defense that was that good or complemented that offense. And that's all this defense needs to do is complement that offense.
Just think what could have been had we had one of those great defenses the last couple of years.
Yeah.
We'd have multiple rings sitting out right now. So,
and it's, you fans, we all know it. Rob, you know it. It's time to start winning. It's time to win another title. It's been 18 years.
Yeah.
And we're, and I love the University of Oklahoma. I love our football team, but everybody wants to go on to hey, we're the greatest program in modern football history, and we are.
Well, that's slipping though.
That's slipping because right now the greatest. If you want to move the modern history from 1945 or after I think it's after World War II is when they call that modern history.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to, move it into the 21st century, we're there,
but we're not on top.
We're not on top.
Yeah.
Alabama is, pretty soon is not going to have. They're going to have to build a facility for their trophy case.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
literally, I would root for anybody over Alabama.
Why?
Well, because I don't want to. I mean, every time they win one, they're just getting a little further from us.
Yeah, I mean. Do you not have any respect for what they've done or for what Nick Saban has done?
I guess I do, only because they had Forrest Gump. But I do, but it's kind of the evil empire, so to speak. And
see, I used to look at them like that, but I don't anymore.
You want them to win, then?
I don't want them to win, but when they do, it's just like, good gosh. You know what I mean? I mean, they had no business, and you know this. They had no business being in the playoffs last year.
Right.
They did not earn their spot in the playoffs.
They still won.
They still won the national title, but they didn't earn their spot in the playoffs.
So whoever they play for the national title this year, will you be rooting for or against them?
It depends on who it is.
Pick anybody, not
usually,
us, obviously.
Usually in college, like when they played LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was pulling for Alabama because I couldn't stand.
We can't stand LSU.
I can't stand LSU.
So I don't know.
Texas.
No comment. Yeah.
I mean, if they were playing Miami, I'd pull for them. Last year I really didn't care. I did not want Georgia.
Because they beat us?
Because they beat it. It's just that's that little childish,
what if it was Clemson?
I don't like Clemson. I don't like Sweeney, Dabo, or Dubo, I just don't like that guy, man.
So pretty much you're rooting for Alabama over anybody
except
us.
No. Ohio State. Who would you root for?
Can they both lose, or is that no? That's not an option.
That's not an option.
Dang it. Well, yeah. So I probably wouldn't watch it. Well, who am I kidding?
Yeah.
I'd watch it, but I would hate every second of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think I've said this before, but you know it. I mean, the Super Bowl with the Seahawks and the Patriots, that is the first Super Bowl in my life that I did not watch. And Caleb came in and was like, "Oh, Dad, you got, game's over. You got to see the last play." And I was like, "No, I'll wait." And I waited till the game was really over, and I saw the interception, but they're Alabama. A lot of people is like they're the Patriots. They're not the Patriots yet, to me. And a little bit like, Saban's kind of grown on me since he's been at Alabama. He's kind of got little bit of humor to him every now and then, but
Nope, can't stand him.
you can't stand him?
Can't stand him.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have to explain why I don't like him. I just don't like him because he's winning and we're not. Probably. If I'm being honest.
You sounded like one of my grandkids. I don't know. I don't have to know why I don't like him.
I just don't. I mean, I'd rather North Dakota State win it than Alabama.
Well, I don't like Urban Meyer.
No, don't like.
I don't like Les Miles.
Les Miles.
Les Miles.
You don't like Dabo Sweeney.
I can't.
Is there anybody you do like? I'm just Nick Saban.
I like Nick Saban. I mean, it's not a love affair. I mean, but it's a respect. It's like, I mean, what can you say negative about him?
You can say he's cheating because he probably is. Okay. Cheaters, bunch of cheaters down there.
I don't like Tom Herman. I don't like Mac Brown. I cannot stand listening to
that for Chris.
I cannot stand listening to Mac Brown on the TV going, they got to go out. And it is funny that he picked Oklahoma to go to the.
I seen that.
Yeah.
I was watching that.
Who else do I not like? I cannot stand Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is the biggest piece of crap that ever stepped in on the college football field.
Yeah.
What he did to USC and then walk off.
Bunch of cheaters down there.
Oh, my gosh.
What about Lane Kiffin?
I don't even have a comment about Lane Kiffin.
You gotta love Lane Kiffin because he got left on the tarmac. They're like, yeah. Thanks, but no thanks.
We're not going to we're not going to take you back to the facilities.
That's how bad you are.
Yeah. I said I don't really have an opinion on Lane Kiffin. He's just kind of a.
What about haircut Gundy down there? Mullet man.
I don't like Gundy's coaching, but his press conferences are hilarious.
Little vodka, be all right. Yeah. Like, oh boy, this could be the beginning of the end.
He's kind of grown on me. Kind of like Pat Jones. I couldn't stand Pat Jones when he was at OSU, but man, Pat Jones is a funny dude. Yeah. Well, I would love to sit down and have a couple of beers with him and just listen to stories from Could you imagine him and Barry at dinner together?
Well, if you got Barry, you don't need Pat. I'm sorry, Pat. John, if you're listening, which I doubt you are. But if you got Barry, you don't need Pat.
Yeah.
Pat would be good if you didn't have Barry.
Right.
If Barry's there, you don't have anybody else.
Yeah. But Pat Jones, he's a funny guy. I like his analogies and stuff.
So let me tell you who I absolutely hated more than anybody, more than mayonnaise. Lou Holtz.
Yeah, I still can't stand Lou Holtz.
Man, I couldn't. College football final with him and the big dude. I can't remember his name. I just hate it. But then you can't watch anything on Sunday, like anything that happened late, because they're all pro football on Sunday.
Yeah, it's like Saturday didn't even happen. So
you watch college football final, and I just hated him. I hated him. I hated them all.
Yeah,
so
that was
watching it.
And does that hatred come from him beating us when he was at Arkansas?
Not really, because back then I didn't know who the coaches were. So I couldn't stand the way he talked. I didn't like that he was a Notre Dame homer. That I just felt like I needed a towel. Even though he was in the TV, I still felt like I was getting spit on. You know what I mean? I was just like, oh, stop talking. Stop talking. All right, turn the channel.
Yeah.
Who
else can you not stand? I don't like Lou Holtz either.
I don't know who I can't, but I can tell you who I absolutely love. Hannah Storm. ESPN, she's great, man. Yeah. I'm telling you, I love her.
What about she does the either ESPN or NFL Network. I think she does NFL Network. Pregame. Stacey Dales.
Stacey Dales?
Yeah.
From Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What?
Yeah, I like her.
You like her?
Yeah, she's real good.
Okay. Who else? What other coaches
that I dislike?
Dislike or like?
Well, I don't really like any of them except the Oklahoma guys like Seth Luttrell. I think I remember him running the fullback here. He was great, and I think he's a good coach. I like Scott Frost.
Yeah, you like Leach?
Yeah, I love Leach. Love Leach. He's hilarious. Because you just never – he's like Gary Busey. Yeah. You never know what's coming out of his mouth. You're just like sitting on every word because the next one could be fantastic.
Yeah.
And so, I love Leach.
Yeah. And he's the best has the best news conferences. Because, like I said, it's like Gary Busey. He may go off talking about following a raccoon home one day,
right?
And but when they're doing the sideline interview with him, like after the game and stuff, he looks like it hurts. Have you ever noticed that? He's just got this look on his face of we played well, except for those times we didn't.
When he's at Tech, they had his parking spot. It was painted up, and it said something like, the reserve for the pirate or something.
Yeah.
And it was weird, which is kind of funny. I think he's a bit eccentric.
Oh, yeah. And think that guy went to BYU.
He's pretty smart.
Yeah,
he's got a Juris Doctorate.
Yeah, I know, but still, BYU. He doesn't seem to be
a Mormon.
Yeah, a Mormon.
Could you imagine
got
more than one wife?
Do you think he? Could you imagine him out on one of their mission trips?
Hey, you may want to read this, you may not, but if you do, you could get eaten by a raccoon.
Yeah, so,
I don't know,
but that's. I'm trying to think. Yeah, he's one too that you'd like to sit down and have. A couple of beers with, and just
well,
I wonder if he'd talk over our head. Do you think he'd talk over our head?
Yeah, probably. To some degree. The guy's obviously super intelligent.
Oh yeah.
So I think that he ought to give up the head coaching gig and go back to OC.
Yeah.
Because if he came here and was Lincoln's OC,
yeah. And I still love the fact. And Lincoln does it too. They talk about all these play cards. You see them in the NFL and in those color coded big deals. And Mike Leach pulls out a wadded up piece of paper out of his pocket and straightens it. And I wonder if he's writing down that didn't work.
I don't know, but do you remember the year where we lined up out in that ninja formation, and we were all sitting there going, "What is happening? I don't even know how do I feel about this?" And all of a sudden, touchdown. We were like, "Well, okay." I guess I kind of."
And they asked him, what was that? Well, we called that the ninja formation.
So, yeah. What he did, it worked out. Lots of offenses have spun off of what he did when he was here. Including down at Texas Tech, where I'm sure they wish they had him back right now.
Oh yeah, but Kingsbury's one I don't like either. So
because of his GQ, or
I don't know, I don't know.
Justin Fuente, like him?
Yeah, I like Fuente. Boy at A&M.
I was gonna say Kevin Sumlin, but he's at
he's gone.
Yeah, he's at.
Oh my gosh, Florida State coach. Sorry guys,
Jimbo Fisher.
Jimbo Fisher. Yeah, don't like him.
Don't like that one. Nope. This is almost like the Grinch that stole Christmas.
Yeah.
hate.
Yeah, hate.
Double hate.
Now I always liked Bobby Bowden.
Bobby Bowden.
Loved Bobby Bowden.
When he was at Auburn.
No, Bobby was at Florida State.
Oh, who am I talking about?
Terry.
That's Terry. Yeah, Terry Bowden.
Yeah.
Terry Bowden. Bobby Bowden. Yeah, I always liked Bobby Bowden.
Yeah, Bobby Bowden was, I always liked him.
Wide left.
Yeah. Tom Osborne.
Yeah. Dr. Tom.
Dr. Tom.
See, now we're back in the glory days when Oklahoma and Nebraska were the two top dogs in the nation, not just in the Big 12 or Big 8.
Is it weird to you that him and Barry are such close friends?
Not really, because when you find your, mathematical equal, like when, Lincoln Riley finds a smart robot, and he's like, I really like you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And R2-D2's like, beep, 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 whatever.
Yeah. I think we've pretty much gone through every coach out there, haven't we?
Well, we got one more. Bill Snyder. What do you think?
I like Bill. I used to not like Bill Snyder, but he's kind of funny, and he's kind of. I don't know if
he's propped up with.
Yeah, somebody's got their hand up in his back.
Weekend at Bernie's going on down there. Oh, that's wrong.
Yeah, but I've always kind of liked, when he was first, he was kind of arrogant, but I think in his old age, he's kind of like,
Well, when you see people like Bob Stoops and Brent Venables and Mike Stoops all have super high respect for the man,
yeah,
he's probably pretty good.
Yeah. All I know is that I don't know if he's changed, but Bob just said he worked them like dogs, boy. That's one of the reasons why when he went to Florida and saw how Spurrier kind of did the family thing, he kind of took the medium of the two, because apparently Snyder was, leaving at 1:00 in the morning and back in the office at 4.
Well,
and kind of required.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, when you take the very worst football program in the country and made them a national power there for a while.
Well, so you mentioned that you and I had coached earlier together.
Yeah.
And you know what? We were hard on them. We were. Mm-hmm. We were definitely hard on them, but we won back-to-back championships and should have won a third one.
Yeah.
So
that was play calling.
Maybe, definitely, but yeah, you're probably right. But I mean,
should have fired that guy.
You work hard.
Yeah. But I mean, our kids had fun.
They did.
I mean, we did drills that were hard, but yet we did drills that were fun, and duck goose extreme. That was our own little creation, and it taught them stuff. It taught them, to get angles on kids. It taught them all
technique.
That stuff. Yeah, and
aggressiveness.
Yeah,
absolutely, it did. To the point where people were coming out and watching it, going,
"Yeah,
what are you doing here?"
The older kids, Yeah. So, but anyway, we digress. We're talking about ourselves again and how great we are, but Rob, we're kind of a big thing now, so.
Well, I've been big for a while, but I don't know.
Well, one more thing is a couple people shot me some messages today that they're planning on coming to the tailgate. So if you're in Norman, I'm not sure of the time. The game's at 2:30, so I'll probably be there before 7. Because I want to get a parking spot.
Good grief.
Well, you'll be there at like 5, so.
Yeah.
But we'll probably be there early and set up and ready to go by 8:30 or 9, I'm thinking. And everybody's welcome to come by, say hi. I don't know what's on the menu. It's always something simple and stuff. And, have a cold drink with us, have a snack.
You let Tim pick and then just do whatever he says.
Tim
Harless?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but Tim gets some fancy stuff, man. I'm, not that I'm not into fancy grilling, but I'm tired setting all that stuff out.
I just tell you, I'm not into fancy grilling.
I'm one to, slap a hamburger on a grill and some mustard, ketchup, and pickles, and I'm good. But
well, it's just like I came over here tonight.
Yeah.
Said, what'd you have for dinner, Rob? Oreos.
Well, if you want some roast, nah. Well, I ain't going to pass up no roast.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you that, when I got home, I knew Teresa was one night going to make it. When I got home, I was like, do you want me to holler at Rob, tell him to get over here? Because I got home at like 5:45, have some roast. And she goes, I don't think there's enough. Let's just wait. And if he gets there and there's some left, he can.
It looked like plenty.
Yeah, there was plenty. And, but anyway, everybody's welcome to come by. We got plenty of seating. We got a TV there, and plus everybody around us is really cool. They got TVs there. And even if you don't have a ticket to the game and you just like going down there and seeing all the pomp and circumstance,
That's probably what I do.
We're on the corner of Brooks and Jenkins, and that's where they do the run. Roughnecks do the wagon
Lindsay run.
The Lindsay run, and they start right there. We're right there where the band marches down to go into the stadium. The Roughnecks Alumni Association is right next to us, so all the Roughnecks are coming and going. So it's a really good spot. It's close to the stadium, and just come by and say hi. Me and Teresa will be there. Rob sometimes, doesn't get to come over, so
Nope.
But we need to let them have. You need to pull some strings so we have a tailgate inside the stadium, right outside your office. So
I don't know how that would work.
Don't know how that would work, but come out and see us. It's a good time had by all, and you don't even have to bring anything. Just bring yourself and come over and say hello. So, anything else you want to talk about, Rob?
I think we covered it.
Did we cover everything? Give everybody.
Everybody's well informed now.
Yeah, well informed. But we'll have our regular tailgate like a champion with our folks, Tim and Adrian and Dan and just went blank, Hype Man Harry, on Thursday for you. And like I said, we'll keep you posted on Twitter and on Facebook to check us out on YouTube. Maybe going to try our first video this Saturday or Thursday night, see how that works out. But anyway, I sounded like Bob Stoops again, didn't there? Anyway, so guys, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you on Thursday. Boomer Rob.
Boom Jerry.
Thanks for listening to the Sooner Football Fans Podcast. Hit the subscribe button right now on whatever app you're listening to download every episode as they come out. Check us out on Twitter and Facebook and on YouTube. Boomer Sooner.